July 13th, the day after the 50th anniversary celebration, and we're here at Cliff and Edith's home on Big Swan. And we've got everybody else except Clifford, the patriarch, and now he's going to say a few things.
I'm ready to speak now. So what am I to say? 50 years have gone by, and children put up a wonderful party for us, and a lot of friends there. It was a big day. Big day. And but 50 years of marriage teaches an old man maybe he shouldn't say too much. Wife might not be happy with what he says, but maybe there's some words of wisdom from older men that have gone through it. One man said there's a blessed thing about a golden anniversary. His mother-in-law doesn't come around very often anymore. Her wedding is finally paid for. But I guess all of us don't make it as couples for 50 years. We must be in a group of minorities. And I was a middle-aged man before I went to my first golden anniversary. Very few couples lasted. Too many families, the children were now grown before one of the parents died. In some cases, some of the children don't remember one of their parents. But as our medical profession has found ways of avoiding so many of these other fatal infections and viruses and diseases, we seem to live longer and longer, in spite of all the pollution that's supposed to shorten our lives. But we seem to go on and on. Yeah, other than that, I guess we've been blessed. We lived in a wonderful part of the world. We've had maybe a greater degree of freedom to do as we wish compared to so many other countries with different forms of governing their people. And it's been kind of nice. The community's pretty well populated by Northern Europeans. And birds of feather do flock together, and they seem to be industrious people and seem to maintain a good degree of discipline among themselves, so it's kind of a safe place to live. Plenty of access to the outdoors, lots of lakes, streams, wooded areas. Spend time outdoors rather than being in the congestion of some big city. Most people own their homes and seem to take good care of their homes. It's mostly nice neighborhoods to live in. And other than that, I don't know what to say. We've been blessed with 6 children. All seem to do well, seem to do what pleases their creator and their friends and neighbors and other people. So I guess all in all, we can just lean back and count our blessings. In 19, a bad year to be born. World War II seemed to kill off so many of us that were born in 1919. We just hit the draft age. And there too, I guess we were lucky to be Americans. If you look at the horrid men on the Russian front, Germans and the Russians, it was a terrible waste of a human life. And then when the war ended, they had no place to go to. Their homes and cities and everything had been bombed out. Debris, wreckage, no government, no functioning government. We at least had a nice place to come home to. Our homes were intact, our government was intact. And it seems the nation seems to have an abundance of everything. Although so much of it has been wasted fighting wars for causes that most people question. But it goes on. And then, of course, after a short few years of prosperity after World War I, then we fell into a depression. Nobody had any money. The they were all in the same boat, and they were comparatively happy. They were able to accept their lot in life and seemed to enjoy it. And then, of course, the big wars came on, and everything changed. The way people lived changed. Government got big, and most people tended to get varying degrees of assistance from the government, and it got to be quite socialized. And people seemed to lose the work ethic. It seemed somebody would take care of their problems if they had problems, so they kind of neglected their self-discipline because it seemed to be somebody else's problem whenever they had a problem. And then I got married during the war. I was a real wealthy man when I got married. I was grossing $21 a month, which netted me about $16 a month over the pay table. And I believe I had $5 on the wedding day, $5.10. And that's what the wedding cost me, was $5.10, which was quite reasonable compared to the average wedding in the United States now costing $14,000. And so many of them don't last until the wedding is paid for. Some only last a matter of weeks and months, and the wedding still is not paid for. But it seems to be an acceptable way of living in this day and age. Certainly wasn't that way 70 years ago. So I went to work at the vets, and we bought a home in Sartell. We got almost an average home with 5 lots to go with it for $1,400. We're not talking thousands in those days, hundreds. And we lived there, and then I thought I'd maybe do better if I did something other than work at the Vets Hospital. And my brother-in-law was leaving one of our home farms. Mother had 2 farms, so I moved on one and lived there until 1971. And I ran into some health problems, and the doctor said I had to quit doing what I was doing, so I went back to work at the Veterans Administration. And I commuted for 13 years, and then I bought a small home in Wade Park. And of course, homes weren't selling for hundreds anymore, it was thousands, so I paid $13,500 for a cute little story-and-a-half home on a corner, 2 corner lots. And we lived there until 1987. And we moved back here, and I had already retired, so we moved back here closer to our family. Got a brick house on Big Swan Lake. And living too close to the lake now to fish, I do canoeing, go canoeing once in a while and watch the pelicans and the blue cranes, and there's several wood duck nests and tree duck nests, and they seem to accept our nests and had nice big families, and we had martins, purple martins this year for the first time. And the family has grown. We got 26 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. So I guess by that one could almost assume that we have been prolific. So the name will go on. The Ailie name will go on. But as far as the Finnish language being spoken, I think that'll go when we go. The younger generation doesn't seem to have any need for speaking the Finnish language or too much reason to learn it. So that'll be gone. And other than that, one can almost sum it. It's been a pretty good life at that. The Lord has been good to us. Yes, our oldest child was born, and I was lost in North Africa at the time she was born. And we had been staying in a home once by some Jewish people in Atlanta, Georgia. the wife was expecting, and the doctors, there two of the girls in the family were doctors, and they said it would be twins, twin boys. They were quite sure of that. But while we were lost in North Africa, I didn't get any mail, but I kept telling the 7 men that were lost there with me that I should be a father to the twin boys. So we finally got back to our unit, and I had a great big bundle of V-mail. It was a way of them condensing letters into V-mail, so they didn't take up that much room in planes or whatever, however they transported that mail. And this one Jewish sergeant that was with that group, he was opening the letters with the rest of us, looking for the date that those twin boys were born. And he picked up his head, and he says, "Twin boys hell. All you got was one girl." One girl. And of course, that was Sharon. And then as time went on, I think Sharon was 26 months old when I finally came home and saw Sharon. And now, of course, Sharon has grown to be a young lady approaching her 50th birthday on her next birthday. And Sharon has done quite well. She had a degree in home economics and counseling, and has done real well. Married a good young man from Cannon Falls, and they have 3 children. 2 in college and 1 entering high school. And then we had another daughter born on New Year's Day in 1947, Carol. And of course, Carol grew up like all children do, and most of her time was growing up on a farm. And she married some friends of ours' sons, Dwayne Sandberg. And they had a successful marriage and had 6 children. And they're living on their Dwayne's father's farm, which has been in the family there for a long time. And they seem to be doing real nice. And their daughter has, one daughter has 2 children that would be 2 of our great-grandchildren, a boy and a girl, and the other daughter has 1 boy. So we have 3 grandchildren, 2 sons and a little girl. And then, of course, our oldest son, Mark, grew up on the farm, and he likes to be outdoors and be close to nature. And now he's progressed to the point with his big concrete business that he has an airplane, 4-place plane, Cessna Skylark, I think it is, Skyhawk, and he has an ultralight plane that he can fly when the winds are below 8 miles per hour. He can get up and buzz around with that like a bumblebee. And he has 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, Mandy and Douglas and Carrie, and they're reaching adulthood there. And they're all doing fine. And then, of course, we have a daughter, Janet. And Janet grew up like all others, healthy and wise. And she married a real nice neighbor boy, Keith Barber. And Keith and Janet have 5 children. And some of them are reaching maturity. One is in college. And they're all doing real fine. And they have a nice place in the country by a little duck lake. And they enjoy living there. And then our son John, he too grew up and got married. Married a minister's daughter from Wisconsin. And they live in Michigan now. And they're doing quite well. And done quite so well, so John doesn't have to travel anymore. He got promoted to the main office. So they're moving to northwestern Arkansas, to a smaller town and away from all the Michigan congestion and pollution. And they seem to be real happy the way their life is going. And they have 4 healthy children. So they have a nice future ahead for them. They seem to have good success selling their home in Michigan and buying a nice home in Arkansas. And they all seem quite happy. And then we have the youngest son, Scott. And Scott, too, has grown up, married. And Scott has 4 children, too, 2 boys and 2 girls. And he has his own business up by Detroit Lakes. He likes to work outdoors, so he has a tree removal and trimming and care business, and he has some cherry pickers, extended farm trucks that he can raise rafters for contractors and replace bulbs on high signs and raise sign painters and trim tall trees. And it seems like wherever any work like that is needed, Scott has the equipment to do the job. And they're real happy. They live in the country too. And some distance from town, quite a ways in the woods, just the way they love it, I guess. But they're all happy and prospering. And that's about it as far as the children go. And I still have 2 brothers living. Lyman turned 84 in February, and he's in real ill health now. He was rushed to the hospital this morning, and his longevity is very questionable. And my older brother Arvid will be 89 on his next birthday, and the years have taken their toll with Arvid. And I have a sister, Agnes, and she'll be 82, 83. And Agnes is doing well health-wise. She lost her husband several years ago, so she's been widowed, but lives in an apartment in Colorado, and she has lots of relatives around here and a son. And I'm, like you know by now, that I'm a great-grandfather, enjoying comparatively good health, and I live here by the lake and go paddling my canoe once in a while and make a few trees, and I've got a big fireplace that keeps me busy with wood. And I guess that's just about just the sum total of my 73 plus years of walking the surface of this earth.
This is Tuesday,